All right, good morning, everybody. TG here. It is the 9th when I'm recording this. Finally got the recording to work in the Moxie room. And good to see everybody out there on the social medias. We got YouTube, X, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So hopefully all those things are working. See some eyeballs growing on over there. Cool. And again, for those of you out there on the social medias, if you guys want to find more information about me or come into the Moxie room, check it out for 30 days. Come over here, simplertrading.com/Moxie. And let's dive into the markets and we'll talk about a few things. Good morning, guys. Yeah, Andrew, good to see you. Mirza, thank you. Brighter side, looking good. All right, let's take a look at this IonQ. And you got me wondering, how's this? Oh yeah, it is doing pretty well. Yeah, I made a post this morning, and I've been watching IonQ for a few days. You can see I got an X that I put on a couple days ago. Been watching this thing, and this is very typical of what I've been seeing out there. And I talked about it a lot yesterday. I made actually the weekly video for Simpler Trading, so you guys probably have seen that. And then a couple things that I talked about over in my weekly video. So anybody out on the social medias, I put this out on YouTube. So if you guys want to go check that out, that's under Profit Pilot. And a lot of what I've been talking about is overall, we've been seeing really big moves to the upside ever since the tariff tantrum lows. And then we've been seeing generally underneath the surface, we've been seeing a lot of stocks pulling back, even though the market is completely sideways. So they've been pulling back to support. We're looking for them to do, find support, and then we want to see them move back up. This maneuver that I just drew out looks exactly like this hourly chart on IonQ. So we got this big move up, we've got this kind of pullback, and then we want to see if it continues higher. So it's the same stuff. I mean, this is really a lot of what I talk about. And Dave, I know you were asking about some, you want to look at day trading or scalping or stuff like that. We'll talk about that in about 15 minutes. So just again, remind me, I got my alarm set, so I shouldn't be able to forget it. But this kind of just goes to show that most of what I talk about and how I teach is what I call fractal. And I actually had to learn that term from one of my mentors years ago. And when they talked about things being fractal, and it just meant that you can take the same setup and you take the same configurations, all this stuff, you can apply it to different time frames. And so you can see the same configuration on a daily chart, but you can see it on a 15-minute chart. And the concept is the same. And that's where, something like IonQ, essentially, I think that we could even say that this is maybe a very small or local cup with handle. You can see here, there's, maybe it's a V in this case, down, up, and then you get this pullback. And then if it goes higher, then that's essentially a cup with handle, or it's a move up with a pullback and then go higher. And then things like DDOG, Datadog, you can see basically the same thing. Look at the daily chart, down, up, and here's your pullback, and then hopefully it goes higher. And that's kind of what we're seeing out there. Yeah, Emil. So fractal refers to how things grow in nature, trees, the shapes of snails. Yeah, and then also, Fibonacci and kind of those fun things that we start getting really crazy patterns and shapes. But that's kind of what we're looking for. And just my trading in general, my trading in general is really about looking for pullbacks. Now, that doesn't always happen. Sometimes when you get things like this, they just continue to go straight up. But if anything, that's still kind of the first move. I love to see pullbacks. And of course, that's relative because it depends on what time frame you're looking at, how big of a pullback is this, what are we looking at for these situations? And if we can find pullbacks, that's great. And so coming in through here, and you can even see on DDOG on the hourly chart, here's another thing. There's your pullback. We had this pop up and there's the pullback. Scott B, are you out there in the Moxie room? Give me a hi or a thumbs up or something like that. Because great, good to see you. So DDOG is another one that we've been talking about. You and I have been going back and forth, and this X is the first time we really kind of started talking about it. I said, yeah, I think this is looking pretty good. I think this wants to go higher. And for whatever reason, I don't know if it was news or something like that, but you can see it definitely shot up. And look what it did. It ultimately pulled all the way back to basically the entry. Like if we were talking about it here, that was the entry. And you can see how it pulled all the way back. And this also goes back to some of my training where, you read books and you figure out what people tell you. And they say that, when you have an entry and once you have a gain, you should move your stop up to break even and stuff like that. And I kind of have a hard time moving my stop up too quickly for exactly situations like this because you don't often know if you're in the right move or the right setup yet. I mean, you even look back here and you can see that even if you nailed the low, you still pull back almost twice to your entry. And that's why it's like, well, you're just not quite ready yet, and you're still trying to figure it out. So I like to keep my stop at least where it was originally for a while because you just don't quite know until these things really get going because there's a lot of back testing. And I think this is another example of where you had price come back. And if you're sticking to like what the books say, and as soon as you have a gain, if you're up stop to break even, it's like I know that sounds good, but the market doesn't really behave quite like that. And that's where you came back here, and you can even see just right there was also kind of the top of this range. Is another way you can look at it too. But overall, Scott, we look at this, look at the Moxie indicator. It was still above zero. That meant energy and momentum were still positive, bullish. And that meant that the pullback below the 50 was basically a buy the dip. Price should not be below the 50 if the Moxie indicator is above zero. Again, for anybody out there on the social medias, that's kind of what we're looking here. I'm trying to show you guys the perks and the benefits of actually using the Moxie indicator. And that's what we see right through this area. And then you can see here, we finally got confirmation with price getting back over the 15-minute 50 and back over the hourly 50. Moxie indicator is looking good and continues to look good and through there. Now, I don't think I've officially taken a trade on DDOG, but yesterday in the Moxie room, I showed you guys like four different tickers, like Poet, what is it? What was the other one? UPST, DDOG, and a few others like that were all basically doing the same situation. So I'm kind of getting into a situation where I'm seeing a lot of tickers set up, and I just can't take them all. I'd love to trade all these tickers that are starting to load up, and maybe I got to take a page from Emil's book and just like do one share, one option of each of these things. But it gets to be a little bit much to manage, especially as the leader of the group and putting it out there, and having to keep the trade spreadsheet active. And I don't know what you guys are doing. When I put out a trade, I don't know if you guys are taking one share or you're taking a 50,000 shares or who knows what. So I got to be a little bit careful about that too. But I'm happy to continue talking about these things and show this. So DDOG, I think this has been a pretty good situation. Scott, hopefully this has been a pretty good learning experience. And also keep in mind that these are working because I think we have a good market. If this market was not healthy or was chaotic or was going down or pulling back, this wouldn't work like this. There would be situations where price would come up, you come down like this, you're looking for a trampoline move, and then it would kind of maybe go up and then it would falter and come back down. These are lessons that I really had to learn even in 2022 at that area, before and after, because we were going through a bear market, and you see a setup and then the setup just wouldn't work, or it would fail, or it would just be chaotic or whatever. It was just kind of a nightmare to trade through. But that's part of the characteristics. That's the kind of thing that you need to be able to see, that when things work and when trading is relatively easy, it means you're in a good environment. And for as long as that I've been trading, and for as much as I've been in the market, there are still times where I try to trade or put things on, or I'm looking at this and it makes me feel like I forgot how to trade. It's like, what is going on? Like, why isn't this working? Did I just suddenly become bad at trading? And it's one of those things that you need to kind of have that self-reflection on and be like, look, no, actually, I know what I'm doing. I've had success before. I've been doing this for a while. Maybe it's not me. Maybe it's actually the market. And I think that's one of the things that we have to realize, is that there are certain times when the market is chaotic or weird or won't follow through or is just bad. And if you find that time after time after again that your setups or your trades are just not working, maybe it's the market, maybe it's the market condition, and you need to step away and back off, or day trade, or widen your stops and go much smaller on your sizes, or take fewer trades or something like that. And that can be a way of the market communicating to you like what's actually going on out there for you. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to show you guys. And then something like UPST is also doing pretty well. And same thing, a very, very, very similar setup to DDOG. Nice pullback here, Moxie indicator above zero, and again, engaging with the 15-minute 50. Oh, nice. Sorry, I just opened up the comments on YouTube, so let me see what you guys are looking at. Trading Ole. Let's see. QMMM. I have not heard of that one. What is this stock? Okay, I don't know anything about this, but I can write it down so I can watch it and kind of look into it. Yeah, clearly that is a heck of a move. QMMM. There are always going to be stocks that we either don't know about or are going to be doing their crazy things like this, and it's just you can't catch everything. But it looks like it's had a pretty clean setup actually. So trading, if you look at this, the last setup was right there. There's your Moxie price trigger. And you can see how price was doing a very nice job engaging with the hourly 50. And even here continued to hold the hourly 50 and then it just kept going. So yeah, I don't know what this is, but as far as the charts go, it's doing pretty well. And then you can even see here, it was continuing to hold the 15-minute 50 in through there. Okay, so QMMM is a Hong Kong-based digital advertising. Okay. Well, apparently they're doing well. So yeah, that's about all I can say. Um, hopefully something like Weeble is going to do something like that. We're in that one, and just kind of waiting for that one to start warming up. But you can see that at one point, and I don't know if they had a name change. Maybe that's why you saw that drop. But you look at things like this, and for a while, if it just can't go any lower, then I would keep an eye on this and maybe starting to warm up to the upside. And then you can also see that there's some telltale volume here. It went basically no volume there, no volume there, no volume there, a little bit here, no volume there. And then you can see substantially a lot of volume came in. And that's basically when this thing started to take off. So again, I think volume in situations like this is very important and something worth looking at. Uziel. Sorry, sometimes you guys have crazy names. Let's see. Yeah, UNH. Now, I was actually kind of poo-pooing UNH a while ago. Clearly, this thing had been going down. It got, really out there for very bad news reasons. And I just remember a lot of people on social media was like, "Oh yeah, it's time to buy UNH. This is a huge value deal and buy and all that kind of stuff." And I was like, I don't know. I don't really want to go buy something like that. I think that is still too early. And at least at that point, I agree. I think it was too early because price continued to get rejected by the daily 50. So I didn't do anything with it there. And I'm happy I didn't because it did continue to roll down like this. I'm like, yeah, glad I'm not in there. But then it turned around, spiked up, and it jumped up right here. You can see there's a gap right there because news came out that Warren Buffett and a bunch of other big funds and firms and institutions were like, yeah, they disclosed that, yeah, they bought UNH. So I was like, oh, okay. I didn't have to necessarily buy the low, but look at this. We put on a leap call debit spread, or you could just say we put on a leap, a bullish leap right there. And you know what? I'm no worse off. I didn't miss anything from when everybody else said that they bought in. And you know what? I didn't have to experience that drop. In fact, the reason I thought it was better here is number one, there was news that came out that told me, okay, some of the big players are in. And number two, I'm on top of the moving averages. Okay. Those of you in the Moxie room, this is the biggest thing that I always talk about that I want you to make sure that you understand and get to about this is that what is the difference here versus here? Just look at the moving averages. This is what I talk about all the time. And this is a really, really clear example. I did not enter here. I entered here. The price is the same, but the structure is completely different. And that's why I did it. Now, usual, there was news. I forgot what the news was. I don't know. I read it, but whatever. It's good news. And UNH is jumping up like this. And we got in right there. So pretty happy about it. It's looking like it's doing fine, doing great. The only other thing I can maybe mention is that there is a gap right about there, and we'll have to see if it can jump the gap. I would imagine it will eventually. I don't know if it's going to come up like this, pull back, and then go, or if it's just going to completely go across it. Either way, I'm positioned. I'm in it. We're doing well, and we're having a great time with it. Yeah. Emil, yeah, first move, second move. You could even see maybe inverse head and shoulders right in through there. So yeah, but very, very happy about this. And then trading all, let's see, Wix. Looking at that one too. Yeah, you're saying Wix is ready. Wix looks like it's already been moving, and that's true. So I personally would say that I have missed this. I think that if you were going to get into Wix, you would have to get into it right there. There's the Moxie price trigger, and there's the test of support. That is your official entry. So trading all, um, you know, if you're saying that this thing is ready, I think you might want to come into the Moxie room because this is what I teach. And I think I can show you reasons why, yes, this has been a nice move. And yes, this has moved up, but this is not a place where I want to get in right now. If anything, this is kind of where you start taking a little bit of profits. I mean, of course, prices can go higher, but this is not where you want to be chasing it to the long side. I mean, you've already missed from my official entry, which is what I teach everybody in the Moxie room, is right here. Call it 125. It has already gone up 30%. There's no way I want to get into this now. There's no opportunity. If I was late, the only other opportunity would have been right there. And I can distinctly point these things out, and anybody else in the Moxie room knows why I'm pointing these out as to why these are reasonable places to get in. But at this point, no. I can't really do anything about it. Sure, it might continue going higher, but I don't really want to chase it from this point. I mean, if anything, you just look sideways, like here, and you can see here's a level, here's a level, here's a level, and you're right there. Yeah, it doesn't seem like the best place to want to go chase this. So wait for some sort of pullback, wait for it to flag or do something, and then you can kind of look at getting into it. But yes, nice move, but right now, nothing. So anyway, as we kind of wrap this up, let me remind you guys over in social medias, come over here, Moxie Room. You can see me out on YouTube, Profit Pilot, YouTube, all that kind of stuff. Come over into the Moxie Room. We're having a good time. This market, I feel like, is actually starting to warm up again. We have been down to sideways for a little over 6 weeks. And I know we've got the seasonal weakness and all that kind of stuff, but there are enough things out there that are moving that I think that the market has started to catch on, that we're probably not going to go down, much, or if any. If anything, it looks like the market's really just kind of flagging with time, and I think it's just a matter of, I don't know, time, a few days, few weeks, until we start breaking out to the upside. Now we do have PPI and CPI coming up, so we'll have to see. That might create some fireworks. And you know what? Based on how the market's been moving over the last 6 weeks, I feel like if there is a big dip, it's probably going to be a viable dip. So yeah. All right, guys, those of you in the social medias, I'm going to sign off with you. I'm going to come back over into the Moxie room, finish up the hour with them, and we'll get some questions answered. All right, guys, see you later.